None. You have to have their local cell phone provider because there's just no towers and stuff there. So it's great. But no, I'll tell you what I'm doing is I am being more intentional when I leave. I leave. Now, unless it floods or unless the alarms go off or unless things like that. But I'm just trying to be more like, when I'm at work, I'm at work.
Yeah.
And when I'm not, I mean, I feel like I'm fine all the time, but at least I'm 100% here when I'm, and I'm 100% with my kids when I'm with my kids. So, hey, glad you made it. Good to see you. It's okay.
Okay. The time is 5:14. We'll start with a roll call. Okay. Emily Cunningham present. Wonderful. And let's see, we've got celebrations. No, public comment. Do we have public comment?
I don't have any public comment that I saw over there.
Okay, celebrations and recognitions.
Okay, so we have several things to celebrate. If you were not able to be at graduation, oh, you should have come to graduation. So it's our largest graduating class ever. 62 students graduated. 4 of them had associates. We had 965 college hours, 57 professional industry-based certifications, and over 2.2 million in scholarships and academic awards for just 62 kids. So I will say it is still one of the coolest things I think we do. I love the format. Several years ago, we shifted to a student-centered graduation. And so it is really all about the kids. Like it's a welcome pledge, and then we get right into student speakers. I have to say our Val Sal was also the president, vice president. And so they tag teamed their speech. It was so cute. It was so cute. They went back and forth in their speech. I mean, it just really showed like the unity that we grow and create over the years. Anyway, it was really great.
Yep.
We celebrated our district staff and teacher of the year. So Risa Miller was the district teacher of the year. And Chef Nate was the staff of the year. He has just done a phenomenal job in the food service area. So it's just been great. We have a couple of retirements. So Miss Deb celebrated her retirement. She let us know a little bit early. And then just a week or so ago, the Williamses both let us know that they're going to be retiring this summer. Donna's going to retire to help kind of take care of Gary a little bit as he's going through some health struggles. And so anyway, so those are 3 retirements that we've had of long-standing, long-engaged Rapoport staff members. So really big shoes to fill on all 3 fronts. And if you didn't know, the lady stand behind Miss Deb in the orange, I don't say burnt orange because I don't like wear orange, in the nice pumpkin color shirt is Mama Mason. That's Miss Deb's sister, who is Katrina Thomas's mother, who our cafeteria is named after. So it's the Mama Mason Cafe. She's always been, she's been for decades, a really integral part of Rapoport Academy. So the mobile STEM lab. So our middle school students had the opportunity to experience the mobile STEM lab. So it's gone all across the state of Texas. It's provided by the Texas Education Agency. And Learning Undefeated, I think, to Learning Undefeated. So our kids got to walk through it. They got to do some hands-on activities, and they got to do some job exploration and talk about the STEM field across the state of Texas. So it was neat. We were excited to be awarded. It's through a grant. We don't get money for the grant, but we get the trailer. And then they come in and provide the staffing for it. So it was on our campus. Come on. All right, Menifee, you want to talk about the healthy school designation?
So I did bring April Strickland here. And it's really thanks to her that we finished out this research grant with Texas AgriLife. Both her and Mrs. Bruce, now Mrs. Bruce, our 7th grade science and health teacher, helped us complete the Healthy School Recognized Campus Research Study with AgriLife that secured us $3,000 for PE equipment and healthy living resources for our students. But that also involved doing walk across Texas with our 7th graders and lots of healthy food and resource classes that Strickland came in and did on her own time as a volunteer who no longer works for AgriLife, but as a RAPS parent who has got a wealth of knowledge in all of those areas. So she really made it happen. Our 7th graders had a blast doing it too. So everyone got a chance to be involved with it, but there was a specific group of 10 that were part of the research, meant that they had to do a lot more, like,
Mhm.
they had to like take surveys about the kinds of foods that they ate, and they had to run laps and do the fitness gram and height and weight and that kind of thing for them to test the efficacy of the Healthy School Recognized Campus program, and that's what helped us get that funding. So we got a cool banner that we're gonna get put up and maybe try to get a picture of our kids with it. It didn't come out before the awards ceremony. It's sitting in the office, but it has a big Healthy Recognized Campus thing that will be for us for recognizing us for this last year.
So you'll see that on social media in August when the kids are back on campus and we can take pictures.
You'd be here so that people could see and know that it was really team effort. You're the one to have it.
Yeah, really quickly. So, and then with this, it has space for y'all to continue year after year.
Awesome.
If you meet the criteria, it's still getting the extra funding and support. But I just want to let y'all know that, I have Cheyenne's been in since pre-K, and I just saw Montana, who my daughter's in now. And just to see how well-rounded of an individual he is, because he comes to the Rapoport and y'all, just the way you do things. So I'm so excited for my Cheyenne, who's now going into second grade at Matt campus, to watch her go through Rapoport Academy and just have her come out just like a whole wonderful student, just like I see Montana is. And I really, like I said, this was on my own time and effort, but I believe in all the things that y'all are doing are so beneficial for the campuses, for the families. And I was just like, I don't mind investing this extra time in a school, in a district that so heavily cares about not just the student, but the family, but their education, but their health, everything. And so this was not a sacrifice at all for me. I was super excited and super thankful that I was allowed to be invited in to complete this program. I started it when I was with AgriLife, but grant funding got lost, so that's the only reason why. But I was like, no, we are going to finish this. I really admire. I wish there were more rock all over the city, all over the country. And I'm hopeful that more and more districts can look to y'all as a school that's like, hey, this is working, our students are succeeding. And so anyway, I just wanted to share that with y'all that I absolutely was honored to be able to finish up the program and just love all the things that how y'all work with our students and our students. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. You can't go yet. You gotta stay for a second.
Celebration.
Well, and thank you, Ms. Strickland, because if y'all don't know her, she's been working in this community for over 10 years in healthy living. She's an incredible educator, speaker, advocate, and like that you would choose us to dedicate your skill set. I mean, we're really grateful
And
to you.
on Shaq.
And Shaq, yeah.
Shaq.
So thank you, April.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. All right, we're gonna keep on rolling. So we have retention numbers so far from where we're sitting right now. So right now it looks like at elementary, all staff is at 84% and teachers only are at 86. Secondary, all staff's at 88% and just teachers is at 85. So our goal of being 85 or better, which is considerably above the average, not only for education in general, but specifically for charter schools and especially for charter schools that are predominantly Title I. Like we are considerably above average, even with those numbers. The other thing that I think is interesting is 25% of all of our staff are TIA designated. And we had an 89% retention rate of those TIA staff. So we only have 2 TIA teachers in the entire district who actually left. One of them left education, and the other one is moving, out of state. And so anyway, I'm really excited about these. Of course, we always want them to be higher. But I think the things that we do here at Rapoport Academy, and I think the things that we've done for teachers and staff, from the calendar to trying to push salaries to doing the making sure TRAs apply to doing teacher incentive allotment, I think it's had a lot to do with our increased retention. So right now we only have 5 openings, and 2 of them have just been announced within the last week. One of them I made an offer for today, and another one I'm about to make another offer for. So we should be moving through these pretty quickly as we walk over the next couple of weeks. So we're really excited. We've hired some what we think are going to be pretty phenomenal staff. Several staff have already have teacher incentive allotment designations. We're hiring people with years of experience. We're hiring people that, some people that more closely reflect our student population. So we're really excited about the hiring that we've been able to kind of walk through in the last month or two. We still are working on other things to do to recruit people because the traditional ways are not working anymore. And so we've got to kind of be creative and find other opportunities, but we'll work on that over the next year. So anyway, really good retention numbers.
Word of mouth is always the strongest way that people find
Yep.
things.
So if you know anybody that wants to do, we'll pay for their certification even if they don't have it yet. It'd be great if they already had it.
Field trip.
And then an admin assistant, high school diploma required, but you don't have to have a degree. And then kindergarten teacher, elementary teaching assistant. Again, kindergarten teacher, we'd love to be certified, but we can kind of help out with that a little bit over time. And then music education teacher, I believe we're offering for that one right now. So elementary teaching assistant, high school diploma required.
Awesome.
Okay, Triple Win received a TEA summer grant. They actually received two of them. So each one is worth $50,000. One of them really focuses on the high school level student. And so that is for paid high school internships for the summer. And also those students participate in a real world project of value. If you remember historically, we've done all sorts of things from sound trailers and production studios to axe trailers to pedal bikes. It's that kind of concept for the summer. And then $50,000 for middle school and elementary summer camps. So if you or your student would like to join the summer camps, they can. But it's $50,000 for the summer camp. So altogether, it's $100,000 for the summer grant programs through TEA. So we're really excited to have those back on our campus once again. We had them for several years, then we didn't last year, and then we received them again for this year.
Want me to take this one?
Yes.
Okay. Really excited to share that the Leadership Waco Class 42, I know that we announced that they were working on this goal, but as of just a couple weeks ago, they surpassed the $30,000 fundraiser, grassroots fundraiser here in Waco, supported by countless businesses and groups to fully fund a redone walking track at our primary school. So they also, members of the class came out and did a bunch of work on removing vines and things. They built some new benches that are painted green and black. That's actually what we tried. So they're bringing a few benches. And then finally last week they got to break ground and work on it. So go to the next one. Here's a beautiful drone shot of what the new walking track looks like. And it's wide and gravelly and beautiful and flat for our sweet kids' ankles to not turn while they run. And we are having a very brief ribbon cutting, and I'm adding in inaugural lap at the walking track this Thursday, 9:30 to 10, super short, early, so because it's going to get hot. It's hosted by the Waco Chamber. We would love you to be there if you have a chance to stop by. I'm going to send an invite actually to our school community from that school as well, because we love some kids because they did it for the kiddos. But it's beautiful, and probably at the next board meeting we'll see if any of the members of that class can come, and we'll recognize them as well, because this is led out by our wonderful former board member and RAP's parent, Chiquita Hill, and all of the people in that leadership. It's the biggest like group project they've ever done in Leadership Waco. If you've done Leadership Waco, like we built some beds for the advocacy center when we spent like a few hours, and these guys spent countless hours and tons of work fundraising. So
it's amazing.
It's a huge thing to have several organizations be involved with. We will be doing a bunch of thank yous for the various organizations that donated. So I just want to let you know about that. And then finally, although we just sang her praises, it's still true. We do have an award for April Strickland because she's awesome. Yay! We invented a new award called the Heart of Service Award. This very year, the established 2026 began with parents who were involved with the GEO. So I'm very excited to we're just gonna we need to have parents that need recognition.
They're amazing.
Volunteers and groups. So Heart of Service Appreciation Award and grateful recognition for your unwavering dedication to Rapoport Academy and your outstanding stewardship, healthy school programming, and healthy living. So thank you very much. Then you get. Yeah, girl.
Board members, let's take some pictures. Board members, come up here.
I was like, "Who is that sign next to her?
It's the back.
Sure.
Right there, indicate your phone over to Dr. Ellis. Will you come take it so if they can get a picture? Yes, you. Shack and the Shacky.
And you're wearing green.
Oh, she's.
Not.
I'm voted on.
Oh.
So I don't know. Probably on you.
I mean, you will be on the board in a few minutes. So,
Yeah.
by the time the photo's published, you'll be board member.
I was gonna take a couple of different ones, a couple of different photos, man. I almost actually just cut you right out. Okay, here we go, right here, 1, 2, 3. Take a few, and then here comes one over here.
Yeah. Guys, thank you for like showing up the last minute too.
Gotta get you one. Brad got some Ritz or some.
I'm probably.
You get a Ritz? Okay, you have, okay, go.
Right, right.
Okay, we'll move to the consent agenda items. I think all the
Bye.
materials were in your drive, so hopefully you looked at them. And I'll entertain any questions or a motion to approve the consent agenda.
I saw a typo on one of the
Oh,
documents.
okay, which
I
one?
just left a comment on there. It was like the sentence seemed incomplete. But as it fixing that typo,
Okay,
I will move to approve the consent agenda.
What was that?
is it on the handbook? No, that's different.
Oh, is that the, oh, yeah, because that is, okay.
Hang on.
Oh, no, was it the, that wasn't the handbook or? Oh. It's all done.
Do you remember?
Well, it's
Okay.
fine. I mean, I agree. I think it
With lots of
material, yeah.
Oh, and I guess I had a question on the employee handbook. I didn't see any changes. Were there?
There were no changes except dates. We just, oh my. Okay, so aside from fixing the typo,
Yeah,
if
there
I
it
can
is. So the
find it.
sentence says, it's on appeal to the board of directors. The student will be informed by email the date, time, location of the meeting in which the disciplinary consequence.
oh,
Dot.
dot.
So it just
Got it.
will be considered.
So I was trying to
That's why you
make
have a
Grady's
lawyer on your
edits.
board. That's why you have a lawyer on your board.
I was trying to make Grady's edits. Okay, I see it now. Okay,
Okay, is there a motion
so I will fix that.
or any questions?
I'll move to approve the consent agenda.
Do I have a second?
I was pausing because I didn't know
There you
you
go.
make it.
The changes made will be considered, is what it should say.
All right, all those in favor?
Uh,
Aye. Any opposed? Consent agenda passes. All right,
I was making an edit. You seconded who first? Thank you. First did. Who said it?
we'll skip parent rep and go to faculty rep. Did you have any activity to report? Okay. And then the finance committee, we did meet on Friday, but we'll be talking about those items, really what we talked about on Friday later on in the meeting, correct?
That's correct.
Yeah.
Yep. And then the other two committees were not able to meet this month.
So we'll shift to the superintendent's meeting.
All right. We gave kind of a quick hiring update previously, but we also have some student outcomes that I'm going to go through. And then this is the month where SJ is going to come give her quarterly update and then also the communications update really for the year and what's coming up. So I'd like to start with SJ's presentation, actually. So SJ, I will get it started for you. Yeah, that I was going to say, to the right of the TV is the best. Are you going quarterly or overall report first?
Just their overall report, because
Perfect.
it includes all of this, and I'm just
Perfect.
passing them out. They have
Great.
copies for them.
I'll keep one for the official. There you go.
Can you fill it up in Canva or no?
Should be able to. Yeah. And then present.
Yep. I just made like few changes. 10 minutes before the table. Can't help it.
It doesn't say present. Present. There it is.
Okay.
Okay, ready.
Oh, I think it's been a couple years actually since I've done a report in person. I did one that was a video. That's
Yep,
what it was.
you did.
Okay. So I would start out with wins. We kind of do the glows and grows. I'm learning all the ed speak. Going into my 6th school year, wild. Love it. So the wins I wanted to share that happened. I mean, you guys know that we've had a lot of wins as a district, but some of the things that I've been involved with integrally as communication. There was a lot, truly, there's a whole package of things that happened that went alongside the gym opening, all of the videos that we did of the Ravencourt recaps and ribbon cuttings and ring ceremonies and communication pieces, getting that communicated to, away teams and things like that, where to go, finding a way to claim it on Google because it didn't exist yet, It's like all the things that you don't think about when you're building a house and you're like, oh my gosh, there's so many things that we have to communicate. That was a big thing that I was involved with. And even signage, like how do we want things to look and feel when people are in this space? And the big mural that you see when you walk in that I helped coordinate last summer. So a lot of cool things that happen with the gym. Continuing putting on a bit of an HR hat with quarterly employee newsletters to try to bring about some unity between campuses, helping communicate things district-wide to staff, and doing new staff welcomes, district staff events. By the way, thank you for all of you who helped out with bringing and donating door prizes for the holiday party. That was a big hit. And also low lift on our campuses, which was great. So it made it really simple for us to just host something and celebrate and it not be super expensive or hard.
And it was so much fun. One of our most attended ones that we've had.
And it's the summer send off again. So I supported both of those events. Then this year, really excited to have increased my capacity in my department of one by hiring a fabulous intern who was a Rapoport senior. That was her practicum. So for the whole year, she came to me for 2 hours a day. And I put her to work.
It was amazing.
She did a lot of things. So, but as you know, managing someone is not work for a person. And then in the spring got connected, thanks to Emily, with a wonderful grad student from Baylor who did a lot of work for Triplewin, creating a bunch of branded pieces for them and kind of revamping their website, and also a great survey for our food service to help kind of guide some of that work. So being able to expand, but also work with and mentor people is one of the things that really gets me excited. And I've always had interns in my job, but it was a little challenging once we moved to the basement to bring in external people. So mostly I was able to meet the Baylor student at Triplewin because she was working on Triplewin media and things. Yeah. And then the student's not like, oh, it's weird that you work in a basement at a school. She goes, the school here is fine. So that was fine. Is that everything that was on that side, I guess?
Yep, that was everything on that one.
I feel like we continue to increase our enrollment and our hiring because a lot of the communications and visibility that we have, making it easier to share a positive perception of our school more widely. I mentioned the Triplewin branding and media updates. That was a huge project that we worked on to try to make it sort of donor ready, if you will. We want there to be more people involved in supporting that financially. And I was like, but when you Google it, it doesn't really explain what it is. And I had a conversation actually with the Waco Chamber communications director who was like, wait, it's a part of, I didn't know that. And I'm like, yeah, we need to do a better job of telling that story. So there's ongoing work with that as well. But it was great to have Trinity from Baylor work on that. And can I just say, having worked with Baylor interns before, what a change working with a grad student. I could just like tell her to do stuff and she like did it real fast and I, didn't have to explain it or check her work that much. It was amazing. And we established a great relationship where hopefully we're going to continue bringing in people who need great projects to work on because I always want the intern to get as much benefit out of it as we do. I'm like, you will have so many portfolio pieces when you leave here. You're going to learn so many skills. So not really well. Working with legislative advocacy as well, because all of the kind of communications work that we're doing is the same, like are about sharing the great things happening here. So we want to let our legislators know that they need to support charter schools. So we had several legislative visits and touch points this year and the last few years with the Charter School Association, working on many SHAC initiatives, including the Health and Recognized Campus Grant, and starting up our little Ravens Table restaurant give back thing that was really a district-wide thing to try to get money together to work on employee recognition initiatives, money to use that was not out of any budget. And then Barnes & Noble Book Fair fundraiser that raised over $3,000 to buy books for middle school. So
cool.
A lot of wins. Fun. And that was great because one of the Barnes & Noble managers, a Rapoport parent, and she's like, I've been trying to get y'all guys to do this forever. And I'm like, great.
We're in.
Over here.
Yeah.
But I was gonna ask if we were gonna do it again.
Yeah,
Full year.
absolutely, absolutely. We'll shift over to high school and give them some books, maybe.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
Rotate around.
Because I mean, the elementaries have book fairs, and they're able to buy classroom books with that, but we don't have that here. So it's a great opportunity for people to support that. And she had everybody at Barnes and Noble's just scanning every single purchase, basically.
Yeah.
You're supposed to come and say that you're here for Rapoport, and they're like, yeah, they're all here for Rapoport.
Yep. She was like, oh, and you're here for Rapoport too. Yeah. It's great.
And my personal favorite thing is that we beat my husband's school, University High, by a healthy margin. They had also had a book fair with them, and he was like, yeah, you should talk. And I'm like, I paid so much more money than you usually do.
And we will do it again.
Both.
Both the event and the surpassing.
That's right. I'd love to keep topping the
Yeah,
numbers.
that'd be great.
So when I look at communications and kind of my role and the goals that I try to set, I'm looking at 4 different big buckets of priorities. So looking at how we use the communications that we're doing to maximize our audience engagement and reach. Like how can we reach as many people as we can? A lot of that in the last few years has just been throwing as much content as I possibly can that is positive about Rapoport as widely as I possibly can, right? But I also do look at metrics and try to track what's popular and what's getting shared and what's getting traction. So like making sure that we streamline some things that we get further reach within our own community and further out. One of the things I don't have in here that we did at the beginning of last school year was that we consolidated a lot of our social media presence. We had like 7 Facebook pages, and I was a crazy person trying to post on all of them all the time. So now we have consolidated, thankfully, Meta, Business, Facebook, our overlords of social media, made it easier to combine so that we could kind of move people who followed pages over to the district page too, and we weren't like losing. So what I didn't want was to lose momentum.
Yeah.
So we were able to combine pages down into the district page. Because when I started here, the district page was brand new. It had like 5 followers. And I was like, oh, well, we have to keep these well-established elementary, middle school, high school pages because they have people following it. They have alumni following it. And this district page has nobody. So it was a big win to be able to kind of consolidate that so that we're not stretching me super thin, trying to post in lots of places. So really we're down to district, Facebook, and Instagram, and then athletics, Facebook and Instagram, and a LinkedIn that I sometimes remember to update. And that's probably the best place for y'all to share things that I always forget to do that, because it's real low on my priority list. But it is an important audience that we do want to, but I want to be strategic about what I share there. I don't want to share everything that is maybe not employee related, support related, and like good news celebration related. So I think that's why I go. Celebrating community and fostering inclusivity, which is like what we do at Rapoport anyways, but like making our newsfeed, our website, like what we're celebrating and what we're pushing out look like Rapoport, and like not excluding any groups, right? Not making people go like, well, of course you always take pictures of the athletes, and you never take pictures of these other people. Like we are celebrating and including all of our parties or things that are not on the no media list, right? Yep. So making sure that that we're storytelling driven, which involves a lot of me bugging teachers going, hey, what you doing? What you doing this week? Can I come by? Tell me more. So bugging people, getting news, going back to my little journalism route that I mentioned in college. And then trying to like honor that diversity and our core values in the media that we do. Elevating internal brand and event visibility. So that's a lot of the support of various programmings, events, initiatives with, as high a quality as I can produce communications materials. So things like our strategic plan and a big project that I'm going to talk about in a bit, our new online orientation, like making sure that is like at a high standard of both accessibility and like visuals and communications. Since I've started here, we've done a lot with the brand. So it's really just maintaining that at this point, which is great. Mm-hmm. I still really get excited now getting to see the logo that I designed in the center of the court. Like I get a bit giddy about that. Mm-hmm. Almost as giddy as I get about the donated billboard that I got for the state championship basketball team, because I always want a billboard. And it wasn't digital, but it was mine. And it was a billboard. It was great. Check that off my no budget for billboards, guys. But they donated it, and that was great. So high quality, event participation, brand alignment, all of that is going super swimmingly. Mm-hmm. And then something that's new is this fourth category, which is advanced district growth and operational initiatives, which is not just supporting great work that's happening that other campus leaders are doing, but also leading district initiatives like our onboarding for staff that is a part of our strategic plan right now, so like owning that process. And then hopefully something that have talked with Newman about that I'm excited about is like moving, now that I feel like comms is like a well-oiled mostly machine, moving a bit more into the development, fundraising, donor relations type role, which I don't think would have been possible a few years ago to do both well. But I'm really happy and excited to take on that challenge. So, because it's fun to get money, okay? I had a few things that went pretty well, and I'm like, it's great to like get things for free.
Well, and I think it's great
that need it.
I think it's great because kind of what SJ brought to me, she was like, we're really good at telling the story. I think we can tell the story with for results, like for give back now. Because we have a really consistent message, consistent brand, we have consistent social media and a reputation that she's managed really well. So now let's take the work she's doing in that and convert it into grant applications and convert it into partnership conversations and convert it into strategic moves. So it's kind of like that next step that she's willing to step into. So I'm really excited about 4. I'm excited about 1, 2, and 3 too. But
yes. Well, they're still great. They're not going away. So,
yeah.
On the maximize audience engagement and reach, I mentioned metrics. So you each have the latest quarterly report. So I do this quarterly. Mm-hmm. And I'm happy for you if you want to drop them in to the board meeting of the month when those come out. If you want to keep track of things, I mostly track website metrics, social media metrics. And I kind of like to highlight what the top things were, and then Parent Square, which is our internal communication. So I'm going to go over this really high level because seeing the numbers right now might not be, they're great because this is the best time of year.
Right. Yeah.
Graduation, award ceremonies, they're always like really impactful. And then I'll be like, there wasn't much that happened over the summer.
And then we breathe, and then we kick it back off again. Right. We started school year, which is also big.
Natural ebb and flow, it's true. So some highlights from quarter 4 that are kind of like a combination of all these different things. So website traffic is steady, is what I would say. If you looked at all of the quarters over quarter, we're pretty steady in the kind of like 9,000 to 10,000-ish range of people coming to our website. it's organic search and direct traffic. That means they clicked on a link somewhere that referenced Rapoport. So organic search, we're doing really well in. I didn't actually pull our Google search results, but like we're very easy to find on Google and map on Google and that kind of thing. So that is working really well. We had a huge growth in Facebook and Instagram, like audience impressions, because everybody shares things like graduation and award ceremonies.
Mm-hmm.
But it was interesting to see what the top posts are. So if you look on under Facebook and Instagram, they're never exactly the same. It's small, but it shows you kind of the top 5 posts from the past like 3.5 months or so, 4 months, and how many views they got, how many impressions, how much interaction each one of them got. So, you know, we're consistently reaching a huge number of people. They actually did put in a new like comparison metric that I also didn't pull, but it directly compares like how much content we push out and how much engagement we have compared to other local school districts, which was kind of a nice little thing to go like, oh, look, we're putting out a lot more content. We don't have as many followers as the bigger schools, but we have great engagement. So that is awesome. Also, speaking of engagement, we are ranked #1 out of 101 similarly sized neighboring districts, including Parent Square, for our contactability. So we have this fun little like picture here that I see every time I log into Parent Square that lets us know that we are #1. We're not #1 in a lot of things, but we are in contactability. So that has been over the last 1.5 years working through making sure that our data is really clean in Skyward and that the reports pull correctly so that we have updated information. I also get reports if something changes, and I can update it in Skyward. If someone you get pinged to like confirm that your email address is right and that your phone number is right. So sometimes I'll get pinged that someone wants to change their phone number. I'm like, oh, I'm gonna go change it. To keep it clean and keep people connected. So.
Because if we don't have the right info, they don't get the info.
They don't get the message.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yep.
So some of the things that are coming up on the website, which are listed here under goals, is well, that our homepage remains our primary location that people, because our homepage is our front door, our front porch. So we have a lot of views for the homepage, followed up this time by employment. It was not in that high last time, which is great because that means that people are coming to want to work for us.
Yes.
They are getting hired, and that is working. And then district calendar. I would like to just keep an eye on the top 5 pages of like, where are people going? What are they looking for on our website? Something that Erin, Laura is my senior intern, worked on was creating a whole student-centered section on our website. So this was actually her like capstone project that she did. So if you go on our website now, there wasn't a student tab, and now there is. And she put together a student activities and events page that is very detailed, has lots of information that wasn't there before for like prospective families or kids who are in elementary or middle school who are wondering like what all this, a lot of it's high school oriented, but like what is the student life like? Like what are the events that they have here? So she got information about all of those from the students who were involved with it, from the advisors, and put all that information in there. She got quotes from various classmates about their favorite events and activities. We were kind of thinking of it as kind of like a college page where you like come and want to know more about what student life is like. We also have a page that is still being built out that has some information about Rapoport traditions, which I'm really excited to have go live this summer as well. She wasn't able to quite finish all of that, but we're in the works of finishing that. So there's some polishing that I need to do on that. And then there are, as always, a ton of updates that happen over the summer. So as I told everyone in our superintendent cabinet meeting, and that you are all welcome, if you find something that's incorrect, if you find a typo, Ms. Milam, on my website, please send it to me. Someone, I think he's gone, someone just changed every phone extension district-wide. So of course, any phone extensions that are listed are all wrong. And then we have leadership changes and title changes and you know, campus changes for different people. So there's a lot of updates that happen in the summer. So things that have worked well, celebrating students and staff success. That's always what I come back to. It's always doing well. So that district page that had 15 followers or so. When I started is now at like 2,500, which is a steady rise. We always have a few people who unlike us, and that's okay. We don't like them either. But 441, almost 42,000 impressions. That means it went across that many screens. So whether they interacted with it or not, they had the ability to see our content. With a bunch of posts and reels and things like that. That was Facebook. About not too much lower, 390,000 total views on Instagram. And we reached 23,000. So that's huge. That's crazy. We never have anything that goes super viral. I haven't hit 1 million on any post, but it is a goal of mine. Now that I've got the billboard, I got to hit 1 million.
Now you need 1 million.
We got to get on the Today Show. Okay, like we got goals. But as you can see, like all of these are like 23,000 views. You know, almost 13,000 views. Like lots of engagement and lots of impressions. So that's great. So and again, like I said, celebrating staff, celebrating students, always a win. But we also try to keep it fun and creative. Seen any of our videos and things like that, we try to do. I will say that in the realm of family communications, I help, you know, in the background of supporting and training staff on using Parent Square, which has gone really well. And they keep adding functionality to Parent Square, which makes it easier for us to use. It's awesome. But our engagement numbers, which you can see here, like how many parents at each campus, and how many are engaged. They're very high, and we're not bouncing out of inboxes. Now they might not be reading it, but they're going in their inboxes. And they're going. I'd like to always point out they're going in the language of their choice, which is very important. It has end-to-end translation, so even in a chat where you're messaging a parent who doesn't speak English, it automatically translates your message into their language and your language into English for the teacher. So it has a huge functionality as far as being engaging with our students. And we are on track to deliver more communication than we did last year. Like you can see the total posts. There's a lot more district posts overall, but I've also like sent posts out that weren't like notification posts, because they now feed our website news feed basically. So I do a lot of like posting articles that aren't like sending emails to people, but because it's like our internal news feed as well. So people still engage with those posts and like them because they see them when they log in on their phone or computer. A bunch of class posts and group posts. The groups are a great way for clubs and sporting teams and people of a special interest to have conversations and communication. So Track has its own like group. GEO has groups. I know parents are actually able to post too, right? Am I wrong? Yep, with stuff. Difficult. It's not as easy. I know they want to make it super gatekeeped so that people are not turning it into a gripe session or a thing where, you know, even with Student Square, which is something that we opened up this last year and a half. So we were like, we don't want students talking to each other on Parent Square like this or Student Square. That's not the point. The point is like kind of more one-way communication.
Or back to teacher. But
Yeah.
Not between students.
So I am hopeful that even as we're looking towards PD for this coming year, that we're always training incoming teachers on the platform, but also like encouraging our teachers specifically to engage about academics. We're doing a great job. You're doing a great job, Dr. Ellis, with your lovely newsletter. Our newsletters and our like district, like admin level communication is great. But we have some room to grow in teacher communication about what's being taught. And we hear that from parents as well. That's based on some feedback. So some quick goals. Sorry, I'm long-winded. I have a lot to say. I'm gonna try to keep it energy. I don't know what they are, so.
No. I was living it.
So I mentioned onboarding focus and orientation. So I don't know where the project came from. I think it came from a principal meeting. Then I would have been like, we shouldn't do that, but we're doing it. Okay. We're doing a fully online orientation. It'll be fine. Ask me in August.
It'll be great.
It's something in the neighborhood of 15 to 18 videos. created by a bunch of different people for us to orient new families and returning families fully online. And I know a lot of them have done this before because they went through COVID working for the school, but I'm like, that's a really big job.
Yes.
So I really support that by creating some templates. And then I advocated that we get this video program called We Video, which is allowing us to host all those videos in like a playlist format. To kind of streamline what that looks like. It also has a lot of added accessibility, which I'm really excited about. So we can upload, it will create our captions. I can edit the captions, and then we can also translate all those captions. And keep us within like web accessibility. So we also have to, it has to be accessible to people who can't see, which is important. So they have to have audio description. There's a lot of moving parts behind all videos. So I'm very excited that we move forward with something other than YouTube and our best hopes. This has also some interactive features that it can do as well that I'm hoping to use for staff onboarding so that we can do some knowledge checks, some engagement, like are we engaging with this content or are we playing it in the background while we do something else, kind of a thing. So we're able to create these videos. We're able to also embed them on our website. I was talking with Christina Fuller, our director of special pops today about how like, oh, the same video that you created for this, we can also put on the special pops page because it's the same information everyone needs to hear. So like creating these resources will also have ripple effects when we need to remind parents of policy or how things work, because we'll already have a lot of this created. So that's a big thing that I'm working on with a lot of people. And then also we'll be creating some of the professional development that we do for teachers. We're also going to record that in here so that if someone gets hired in September or November, they're able to get onboarded in a similar fashion and get the same content that they would have missed from new teacher orientation, and hopefully capture some of our awesome P2C work that is happening too. So I'm excited about fostering this. And no matter what, even if we decide that WeVideo isn't what we love, we can download and save all those videos, put them on YouTube or anywhere else. So it's not proprietary. It doesn't keep us from using it anywhere else, but it does allow us to edit and host it in an accessible way.
It's a special time saver for creation, like
Yes.
the initial part of things. It's great for them to host it, but for creation, the other thing that Eshe was saying when she talks about the onboarding piece for new staff is because we can put it in a playlist, we can actually bring someone on in November, create an account for them, give them a playlist, see when they've watched it, and then disable the account, but we get their certificate so we can actually have documentation that they watched all the things and did the videos and watched the stuff. And then the next person is ready to go. We can set them up account and bring them on.
So we're not wondering, has this person had our safety training? And now they are the person that is needing to deal with a safety situation. And the person at fault is us for not training them. Like they didn't know, you know, if they're not equipped with what they need just because they were hired later in the year. This is going to allow us to keep on track with that. So continuing internship opportunities, part of what has allowed me to do a lot of work and hopefully will continue to allow me to focus in on the fundraising side of things is having help with the churn of like content and pushing out information. So I want to look at creating specifically a sports media internship and maybe multiple based on different sports and interests for students, because it is something that we want to celebrate, that we want to focus on. But my goodness, it could be my whole job, guys. And we're a small school. A lot of other schools, the coaches run the social media for their sports events. And it's kind of the Wild Wild West. And I like the fact that we have this like very centralized, you know, information about athletics, but that also takes work and oversight. So hopefully working through giving students who are really passionate about sports and love taking photos and videos and want to create graphics and see their graphics on our social media and be like, Instagram, like there's some like pride with that, right? Giving them those opportunities specifically to take some of that load off of me. Because it is a lot of work and we want to celebrate our kids and we want to let people know when games are and to be there and that kind of thing. And then continue the relationship with Baylor. And I've also worked with UMHB, which is where I went to school. and have had great interns from there as well. It's just harder. They have to work remotely or come in once a week because they're driving in remotely. So that's a challenge. So anyways, hoping to give them some more. Also, I'm happy to hire people. One of the things that the intern that I worked with from Baylor, she was very interested in learning more about fundraising and grant opportunities. So she did do a bunch of research for me on grants that we qualify for and like deadlines and what they need. So also bringing in people who are excited about that and want experience doing that, we will happily put them to work doing that as well.
Great.
So something that I've been wanting to do ever since I've been here was to really do a comprehensive communication survey, and I'm excited to say that it's happening this fall.
Yeah.
To help with some strategic planning for like, I mean, the metrics say we're doing okay, and I get good positive feedback from people, things are going well, but I would love feedback from parents and from students about like how we can meet our community's needs better and give ourselves some like specific areas of highest need for improvement. So I will be working on that, working with, so another thing that I do is I work with our area school PR people. We have an association. There's an association for everything. Texas School PR Association. So, you know, I know the comms people at Waco ISD and Midway ISD and Robinson and everywhere. So working like through like, hey, what kind of surveys do you guys send out? And like, how can we get the pulse of what's going on in our school by gathering some information from other schools, well, what they get feedback on.
Mm-hmm.
And then finally, advancing development fundraising partnerships. So working for, you know, developing more external relationships that will help us secure those long-term resources that we want to support our school, because we know that state funding isn't going to cover us beyond our enrollment cap. Mm-hmm. So finding ways to do that. One of the things I want to do is professional development and grant writing. And today we had a meeting and Dr. Newman was like, what if we wrote a grant to pay for your grant writing? It's a little grant inside of grant, but I'm down. Let's do it.
Yeah, it's fine to make. Yeah. It's fine
So actively pursuing some training in grant writing. I love writing, so I surely we can figure out something. And then looking at securing that foundation, federal funding, and expanding my focus to learn more about that. And there's so many things on this one. I had to make 3 slides.
Yep.
Strategic community partnerships. So things like working with AgriLife in April are a great example of community partnerships. Just something I've done a lot. Working with the YMCA, like on even small and big things. So one of the things I did with the YMCA this year was I mentioned to them probably in the summer that, hey, I see that you guys do drives for different things. We could really use Kleenex and Clorox wipes in January, because everybody brings Kleenex and Clorox wipes in August, and then everyone gets the flu in January.
Yeah.
And like, if you wouldn't mind fundraising and like asking your members to donate that, we got a huge box of Kleenex and Clorox wipes, and then a bunch of sanitary pads that I brought to the high school, and that was all done without any, like, I just wouldn't do that. Yep. You know, like partnerships like that even provide for very specific physical needs of our students. Wonderful. And our teachers were, it was like Christmas all over again. Oh my gosh, you have Kleenex? Yes. There are sometimes those little things that
Makes a big difference.
Make a big difference, because the teacher is ending up paying for Kleenex out of their own pocket so their kids can blow their noses. And that is insane. We can do better. Okay. I have a soapbox, and that's one of them. So working through some community partnerships like that, continuing the legislative relations, but understanding that like the same information that we want our legislators to know, we want donors to know, we want alumni to know, we want people who don't know the story of Rapoport Academy, or maybe like that the Rapoport Foundation didn't set us up and isn't currently funding us. That's a nice little myth that floats around Waco.
Just last week. Just last week, we had to address it.
Telling that story more broadly to those stakeholders. So like things like this walking track fundraiser, we ran all the fundraising through Rapoport. So I was talking to a lot of people who are now donors to Rapoport, because the only way they could make it tax deductible was for them to donate it to the school directly. doing a lot of work with that, but it was fun because I was like, this is the first time these people are ever communicating with us. Like, we have to make sure it's a good experience because we're going to ask them for money again. And
Because
that,
now they're on our
that
website.
takes time. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that kind of stewardship. I know that there's some big things that are potentially coming down the pipe for things that we will need donors for. So hopefully preemptively building some of those relationships and sending out that community. And speaking of that, there's a new thing that's coming this fall. It's new and old in that we have been working with Keep Waco Beautiful and have had a great relationship with them. This is another sample of a community partnership I just wanted to highlight. And because we had worked with them before and we were easy to work with, that's the idea behind that, like, oh, we made it easy for Baylor Scott and White to donate to our walking track. So maybe it'll be easy for them to do it again. We made it easy to work with Keep Waco Beautiful and get students involved in the community garden. It's just like right over there, right on the other side of the street. And so they came back with, hey, we wrote you guys into a grant. It's $20,000 and your kids get to come work in the garden for free and we're going to pay for everything. So it's things like that where like we establish good relationships. We make it easy for you to give us things and support our students and our staff. Let's do it again. So hopefully we'll have more things like this where we get written into other people's grants as well. That's even less lift for us. Like you're just naming us as your beneficiary. That's awesome. So that's really fun that's coming. And I will say that we're partnering with great people for that, but I also was able to advocate for, I was like, oh, great, you have $20,000. If you want to work with one of our educators, you need to provide them a stipend because they don't have time to do this for free. And they happily approved that. And we've already talked. Jonathan Bruce, who loves gardening, I sent him the job description that I had, ChatGPT help me write because I was like, I need something that says what you're doing for this grant. And he, he's going to get like an extra $3,000 to run this program that we want to do anyways. So that's very exciting. Also, that they're easy to work with, and they're also going to, pay our people to do this work. So, yay for that. That is coming soon. And basically, all of our health classes in middle school and maybe some in high school will have the chance to have instruction in gardening and where their food comes from, and then get to go work in the garden, and then eventually sell produce that they have grown at the farmers market, and potentially to the Jamaican restaurant. Because he needs some very specialized like herbs and stuff. So there might be a farm to table component. It's very cool. It's very exciting.
So cool.
And it's all here in our little corner of the video. So, and lastly, promise I'm almost done. I know you have other things to talk about, but there's a lot of great things to communicate. Dr. Newman encouraged me to add some asks, and the asks are pretty low lift because y'all are all already awesome at being board members at Rapoport, and I appreciate you. So things that you can do that will help me do my job better, that will help all of us do better. It's like, and I've asked you this before, but just keep amplifying the communication that we're sending out. If you see something, like it. It's all good, right? There's something that I'm going to send out about Rapoport that you can't love on social media. You want to share it? If I remember to share things on LinkedIn, repost me. Repost the tool, not me. And help broadcast that more widely because you all have connections and networks, and that's huge. And speaking of networks, help us build some of that community partnerships and donor relations. So if you know people or you hear of things, know that there's always some kind of need that we can meet for a donor that wants to give. If they're really excited about something specific, we can help them connect with, like we need Kleenexes. We do every year. We need Kleenexes. Like you know somebody who wants to give towards health things, I would be happy to help them connect with that with Shaq.
Yep.
If you know someone who's really passionate about hungry kids, there's always opportunities for things like Packs of Hope or helping support our high school students who are now needing to pay for their lunches. We would be happy to set up a fund for that. So there's lots of opportunities for even small ways to give back. So if you have some connections, if you when I put together some packages or things that we want to share that is donor specific, I would love it if you could share it. And then again, you already do this, but continue to maintain like being visible and engaging with things that are here, not just online. We invite you to things, probably every board meeting, there's something I'm like, you guys should go to this, great. You can't come to everything, and that's fine, but when you do, like, that active presence means a lot. It really does. So like when you come to district-wide events, it validates the work that we're doing here, and we appreciate that. So just know that. We appreciate you. Okay, that's me.
Great.
And I don't come without gifts. So you can choose. We appreciate your commitment. Thank you for listening to my very long presentation. You get a sticker and mitts.
Perfect.
Yay!
Thank you, SJ. Awesome. That is awesome.
And if you have any questions, are you tired of hearing me talk? Because I'm gonna be with.
This is to anybody. What is the benefit of online orientation? I'm stating the obvious, I know, but is attendance in the past or historically an issue with orientation? To walk us through that, because it does seem like there's might be some dissonance with who we are as a community with online orientation.
So, yes,
A lot of in-person things that happen.
yeah. So,
But this also allows us to create content that will help any new families who come in, kind of similar to employees coming in the middle of the year. We have families come in and out all the time.
So it's creating that library.
So I think there's a couple of things. One, we recognize that less people were attending our in-person orientation, and we've done it several different versions. We did it independently, and then we moved it together, and we thought, well, let's save parents time, and then we shifted it, and then we tried the like more workshop style where they came for a smaller presentation, and then there was breakout sessions, and we couldn't get them to go to the breakout sessions from the other side of it. And when we shifted to allowing the presenters to record and then post, we got quite a few views from the posted videos. And we thought, okay, people want the information. They just may not be able to get here during a 2-hour stretch to be able to do that. And so shifting to 4 campus principals, shifting some of kind of the developmental focus areas that we've got going through the district, we just felt like we were going to need a little bit longer orientation. So then when we started thinking about it, it was like, okay, so we found that parents actually appreciate being able to do it on their own time instead of having to come at a certain designated time. 2, it was going to have to be a little bit longer. So now we were going to have longer sit and get. So we might have even less engagement at that point. 3, the people that we really needed to come inevitably did not come. It was the people that came to everything that came to that as well. And then 4, if you didn't come to the orientation, you didn't get the information. Like if you started in October, you didn't get that same level of information. So we kind of put all 3 together. The principals actually came up with the idea of splitting it back out. And I said, let's try it. Why not? Let's see how it goes. Right?
Not that they're not straight.
Let's try it. Let's try it. Let's see how it goes. And let's see if we can't catch more views, shorter snippets. So they're very topical. Like it's very like Christina Fuller is doing a special education. Each principal is doing one for theirs. I'm doing an oversight for the district and the history and like strategic plan. So it's very like there's one for our student handbook and discipline matrix, right? Like then what we can also do is say it's October and we have a student who's struggling with discipline stuff. We can resend that video to that parent, family, or guardian and just say, hey, let's refresh. Like I'm going to send you a link that kind of goes over it. And it's in that 3 to 5 minute. There's a few that are going to be a little bit longer than that because they're covering like the total overview of the campus. But we're trying to get in that kind of like 3 to 5 minute snippet where it's just exactly what the parent needs. It's very topical so that maybe we'll get more lock-in of the concepts and more views from that. I will say the contrary part to that is we've always said, come in person. We want you in person. And the reality is what we need to do is we need you here for Meet the Teacher Night. We need you here for parent conferences, which are happening at mid 9 weeks instead of at the end of 9 weeks. So what we're trying to do is say, we weren't getting much bang for our buck out of orientation. It wasn't even happening on the campus. We were doing it. We had so many people. We were doing it at multipurpose buildings or in the gym, right? So we weren't even getting on the campus and in the classroom. So instead, we want you to come and engage academically. We want you to come meet the teacher, walk your kids' schedule and classes. We want you to come to the parent conferences. That's where we're going to spend our time and energy is getting families engaged academically. We are getting crazy engagement in the back to school bash. and the end of year thing and art night and STEM night and those sort of stuff. So we're still getting the lighter end of engagement, but we found that over time, when we took out, you had to come in order to stay enrolled because the state won't let us do that. When it was no longer mandatory for enrollment, then people didn't come. And so it just kind of trailed off and off, even though we've tried to revamp it several times. Tyler, Lauren, do you guys want to add anything to what I said? I covered most of it.
That makes sense. It answers my
It
question.
does? Okay, yeah.
Okay.
So it's gonna be online only.
It'll be online only, and then we'll do meet the teacher night, and then we'll be able to reinforce back with videos for families that join later. Online only, but it will be online only for all families. So it'll be offered to all families, all the different components, because different things are tweaking and changing. So not just new families anymore either.
Any other questions for SJ? Thank you so much for all the work you've done and how you've leveled up everything in the imaging in this community, really.
I have a functionality parent square question, but I could probably ask it another time, but I find it confusing to remember where something's posted based on whatever group or feature it's posted on.
And maybe school too, depending.
Campus,
Yeah,
yeah.
so I
Campuses are weird.
struggle with finding it again.
Running it again. Okay.
And I don't know if that's a training issue or some way of knowing when you're looking at it where it's posted, so you can remember.
But do parents refer to you with Parent Square functionality
Yes.
questions? Okay.
We've had a few bugs as well. There was some issues with the app, and then right before school started, they did this thing where all employees were separated from their parent, like there was a parent account and an employee account, and that was office.
Okay.
I helped with that, yeah.
So she's
But
the
I'm happy to
person.
look at that. Okay. I
Yep.
can reach out to you.
Shifting to student outcome updates, if there's no more questions for SJ.
Okay, so in your drive, and I'm gonna share it with you, since I'm going through each item, I didn't provide these to you days and days in advance. So I'm gonna walk through these. These are 3 of the data components that I'm presenting to you guys. I'm trying to do it every quarter when new data is available. So this is kind of a year-end summary for what we have. So I'm gonna start off with the discipline occurrences. So the font on this screen might be a little bit small. Let me see if I can zoom in.
We can access it on our.
You can, yep, it's in your drive. You can access it in your drive. So I've divided it up into 3 different types of reports. All of the row labels on the left-hand side are the same in all 3 reports. So what you'll see is behaviors that have a number related to it are like big level state behaviors. Behaviors that have a word are more like Rapoport specific behaviors. So if you're kind of looking through that, there are a couple of funny ones that say like level 2, 3, or 4. And that just means they didn't specifically fall in one of these other clear categories. They fell in that big chunk of categories. So I divided it up by race. So American Indian, Asian, Black, multi-race, Pacific, or white. This is because it's not race and ethnicity, because I didn't want to double count students. So that means students are Hispanic. They show up as their other. So instead of their ethnicity, they're going to show up under race. So we have American Indian Hispanic, we have African American Hispanic, we have white Hispanic. So they'll kind of, Hispanic will be mixed in here a little bit. But you can see right here, so the 2 largest categories are, considering again how Hispanic shows up, the 2 largest categories are 2 largest enrolled groups of students based on this, which is white and African American. But again, it's kind of Hispanic is mixed in there for both of those. So altogether, we had about 1,065 behavioral incidences. This doesn't include warnings that don't get put into the system. It's just warnings. It's just actual behaviors that are put into the system. Then the next report that you have is by grade level. Again, all the behaviors are there. If you want to kind of walk through those, back, sorry. I pressed page up accidentally. So if you look through there, you'll see 120, 177, and 167. Let's see if my screen is going to let me move over. Well, my screen is not going to let me move over. Oh. Oh. And just a second. go. Sorry, my screen is not letting me move over. Okay.
We've seen one of these reports before,
Mhm.
just so this is not our first time to
shouldn't
use
be.
this. Yeah.
No. So 120, 177, and 167. So when you look at grade levels, it's mostly middle school.
Yeah.
Which is not surprising, right? Like middle school kids are trying to figure out who they are and how to behave and how to both have their own independent voice and ideas, but also work within the system. So you can kind of see those. And again, the far right-hand column should be the same on everyone because it's the grand total of offenses. All the way back through. Defiance noncompliance, if you're looking at specific behaviors, is the most common one. Students just not doing what they're supposed to be doing when they're supposed to be doing it. The second one is disruptive conduct. So it's not necessarily defiance, but it's disrupting class. And then the last one, I divided out by male and female. And if you look on there, males have a higher percentage of the discipline, 631 to females, 434. Again, most of those fall in that defiance, noncompliance, and then in disruptive conduct, there's a heavy skew towards the male for disruptive conduct, but actually females out count the males for defiance noncompliance. So you can kind of see those. Again, this is just information for you guys to kind of look at and analyze and go through. If you have any questions on those, on that one, let me know. Attendance report. So I gave you a little bit more detailed attendance report than I have previously before. And this is the actual report that we send to the state and that we pull down from the state. So this is what drives our funding. The most important lines you're going to look at are going to be B and C and D. So all the way at the very top. So the number of days taught for each of those 6 weeks, that's how many school days we had. The days membership, that's the number of school days times the number of kids. The days absent, that's how many days were missed. So one kid equals 1 day. So one kid misses 5 days, it's 5, the count of 5. So you can kind of see what that looks like.
Wow.
If you scroll down, I could not get it to print on the same page, but the only line on the second page is actually the percent attendance. So if you look, we started off the year at 96.7% and we ended the year at 94.6%. You can see in that third 6 weeks, I say end of the year, the last 6 weeks has just now been submitted. But you can see we took a dip kind of in that flu season where we went down to 94.3%. But it started really high and then we took a little bit of a dip and then it kind of creeped back up a little bit. The last 6 weeks of the year is going to be a little bit lower because we end up with people are tired. It's historically our lowest, depending on how much sickness we have at the middle of the year. So looking up at some of the other ones, I thought you might find it interesting to look at all of the other kind of comparison numbers. So whether you're looking at career and technical ed classes, whether you're looking at EB, right? So students of different languages where English is not their first language, or if you wanted to look at special education, kiddos underneath the special education, mainstreamed, all of those are in there. Early ed, that's all in there. You can kind of see what it looks like as a district. But overall, we're looking at roughly 95.3%, not including the last 6 weeks. Again, it's going to drop us a little bit for the last 6 weeks. So that's what has been submitted to the state so far. And then the last one, our official STAR results won't come out until later on in the summer or early in August. So the information I'm going to give you is what we call May to May. It is going to be slightly different than what comes out in the state reports because there are students who came in January who tested for us but don't count in accountability. Okay. There are students who were here in the fall and then left and then took their test somewhere else. And so it's not going to count in their accountability. It's going to be small amounts of difference, but the numbers you'll see on the TAPR are actually going to be different than where we are right now. A couple of things that you'll see, we try to color code just to make it a little bit easier. Sometimes it gets a little traumatizing. Sometimes it's really exciting. So orange means, for the most part, that there wasn't that much difference in where they were, right? One of the things you'll see at high school, we do have benchmarks in there. So it looks like it skips a year, but it's because the benchmark is also in there. So you want to be sure you're looking at it from 25 to 26. So you'll see at high school, there's a lot of green. as you move through at high school. So especially in the meets and masters levels, algebra, there was a big jump. In biology, there was a big jump. In English, it was relatively the same, a couple of percentage points less in meets, but we saw growth in both approaches and masters. In English too, pretty much the same in approaches, a little bit up in meets and a little bit down in masters. And then US history, its approaches is already above 90%. It just dropped a little bit from 100% to 94%. And then 1% better in meets, and then just a couple of points lower in masters, which is the highest kind of categories you can achieve on that. So some good movement in that. I will say, based on our beta preliminary hypothetical, high school looks like it's going to stay the same about where it was previously, unless we have some surprises, which we don't anticipate any. So high school should be probably at an A, although that's not going to be official until the fall. Then when we move to middle school, I've talked to you guys about kind of struggles that we've had at middle school for the year. So this isn't going to be a surprise, hopefully. But in middle school, you'll see some greens and you'll see some reds as we move through the different grade levels. And so when we look at 8th grade, social studies has a few dips, several point dips whenever you look at 25 to 26. One of the things I would love for you when you're spending time walking through the data is to look at cohort data. So what you would do is you would look at last year's 7th grade, so 25 in 7th grade, to this year's 26 8th graders, and so forth, right? 6th grade to 7th grade to 8th grade. When we do our official longitudinal data booklet for you guys, we will have it in there by cohorts. You'll be able to see it color coded, but it's just interesting to see, because even in the places where we see dips, usually the cohort was able to grow year over year. That's one of the things at middle school that we're really focused on, even as we move into next year, is we're focused on growth. Yes, we want to have basic achievement, absolutely. But what we really want to do is start closing those gaps. And so we're focused on growth as we move forward. So you'll see, again, some greens. 7th grade is a bit of a struggle. This last year, we had some new teachers. We had a little bit of cohort behavior struggles. And so you'll see a pretty decent dip in several places in 7th grade. We just have the 2 contents from that, but you'll see a pretty big dip in 7th grade math. We already have a plan for how we're intervening for next year. And the staff member that we have for next year, the 8th grade math teacher, is returning. And you can see she had some pretty good results in 8th grade this year. 6th grade has highs and lows, so some ups and some downs. The downs aren't significant downs. And then in 5th grade, you'll see several different green areas. We don't have 5th grade science yet as of the point of this publishing of the report. They're redoing the scores. So in true TEA fashion, everybody takes the test and they grade the test, and then they determine whether you pass or fail, and what the cutoff scores are going to be after everybody's already taken the test. No science.
Texted me this morning and I was like,
Yeah.
area.
Read us, the science stuff would read us on.
Yeah, so no science test. So again, I would encourage you to look at cohort data as you're moving through that. Middle school, based on early beta, hypothetical, anticipated, it looks like we've been able to kind of stop the downward trend, but it looks like we've just stabilized it. We haven't made big movements up yet. So it looks like that is going to be a D once again at middle school, but again, not going down, stabilizing and able to turn as we move into next year is our hope. And then when we move to elementary school, you'll see some big greens and you'll see some big reds, unfortunately. So we anticipated a little bit of a hiccup on the reading side because we had that new curriculum that we brought in. It's not uncommon to see what they call an implementation year dip. But you can see that 4th grade team was able to make some pretty big moves from 25 to 26. Really stellar teaching, again, implementation of the curriculum and all that. We had new teachers, several of which were uncertified and learning their craft in 4th grade. I had talked with you guys, I think at least 1 board meeting, maybe 2, about that. And so we've got some plans and some new staffing coming into next year in 3rd grade. And Jennifer already has plans for kind of intervention and work in fourth grade. But mind you, these really stellar fourth grade teachers are pulling up this third grade cohort. Based on where we are, it looks like elementary is not going down, but they're not going to make big jumps up. So it looks like they are also going to be a D. Again, hypothetical, our beta, our estimates is what it looks like. So it looks like from last year to this year, we will be stable. Really big growth in some places, not enough movement in other places as we move through the district. So part of what we will have to do at elementary and middle school is we will have to develop intervention plans, and we will bring those back to the board. So you guys will get full reports back from campus administration, district administration, identifying the weaknesses, the student data, what we're going to do for those, with at least one, potentially 3 checkups during the year. So you'll get kind of ongoing information as we move through. I will say I'm already really excited. Tyler and Jennifer are amazing humans, but the amount of difference in conversation they are able to have with a smaller subset of students versus, again, Tyler had 5 through 12, Jennifer had pre-K through 4, being able to just focus on 9 through 12, having Shasta being able to focus on 5 through 8, Jennifer, 2, 3, 4, Lauren, pre-K, K1. It's just really changed the way that they can talk about their students, their teachers, and their data. So I'm excited about what it means for next year. Again, in a lot of places, we've been able to stop the downward trend, make some pretty big double-digit growth in several places, but still have plenty of opportunities in other places. Math is still a real weak point across the district, really, especially at middle school and elementary school. The last thing I will say is it does continue to look like our story, which is bring kids from where they are before they get to school all the way through graduation is still reflected in our data. So it just takes a long time to change the tides for kiddos. And then we are able to get them to that 100% graduation, that 94% college, career, military ready, all those things we talked about, like with a graduating class. Unfortunately, the state doesn't look at longitudinal, they look at campus by campus. And so I still, as a district across the whole, we're still moving kids from preschool, like poverty level deficiencies, all the way up through really stellar outcomes by high school. Our goal is to ultimately be at least a C, a B, and an A is our goal. I think that's a very realistic goal. It's just taken us a little bit of a while to figure out how to get there. So that's kind of the 3 student outcomes that the board has asked me to talk about. Do I need to touch base on any of those or go into more detail or answer any questions? Lauren and Tyler are both here. Jennifer is out of country, but Lauren can probably answer a lot of those questions as well. So do you have any questions?
I don't have any questions. I just say good work to the 4th and 5th grade and 6th grade. Those were phenomenal improvements year over year.
Yeah, they're making some really big moves in some places.
So, I mean, hats off to them.
Mhm.
Great.
Yeah.
Oh.
You guys, yeah. Yeah.
Any other questions or comments?
Tyler, Jennifer, any other?
Hi, Jennifer, Lauren.
Lauren? Yeah, Tyler, Lauren? No. I will just say our data continues to reinforce the impact of a high quality teacher in the classroom. We can pinpoint directly, like that teacher came with experience, or that teacher was highly trained, that teacher came through a highly trained traditional training program. And like time after time after time, we can point to that teacher and you will see it in their data. So that's one of the places we're really excited about the hiring this year is we feel like we've been able to bring in some people that have some experience and background, and hopefully that'll make a difference.
So too, really outside of 7th grade. I mean,
We're moving.
yeah.
Yeah. We're positively trending.
Yeah.
That's the goal. Yeah. If you just kind of wonder, like in general, what the state really wants us to be at, if you take those 3 columns and average them, so add them together and divide by 3, that's really how the state is measuring us. And so they would like for us to be, I think it's 60%. 60% is an A. Is that right, Tyler? So 30, 60, 90, right? If you average those together. So that's really how they grade us, is we really should have at least a third of our kids in their mind in that master's, at least 2/3 of our kids in meets, and then almost all of our kids in approaches is what we should have. So let me know if you have any questions or if you want any other data ever presented. I gave you a little bit more detail because it's kind of end of the year for some of those, but I'm happy to, if there's stuff you don't understand and you want a separate meeting, I'm happy to sit down and walk through that, but there's no action item needed on those.
All right, we'll move on to 4.1, installment of Kristen Cook as parent representative.
Woohoo!
Kristen, do you want to tell us about yourself for just a minute or two or anything to introduce yourself?
I'm a librarian at Clinic Community College. I've been there for 24 years. I have 3 kids, one that has graduated from Rapoport. He's 22 now. Doing an internship at Monterey, mechanical engineering. And then my middle child, Charles, is about to be a senior and really interested in graphic design, and he's doing an internship through the chamber. Awesome. At a marketing place. And then Francis is about to be in 8th grade and he's very artistic. And we love Rapoport, and I want all my kids to graduate from Rapoport all the way.
Love it.
Wonderful.
Love it.
Do y'all have any questions for Kristen?
And I would just say we use the board approved process. So I did an all call. And I have to say, I'm really excited. So Kristen has volunteered several times. And then we do, if multiple people volunteer, we randomly draw a hat. So every time I'm like, nope, randomly, nope. And so I was really excited that she was able to finally jump on the board. She's been a really engaged parent for a long time. I'm really excited that the process worked.
This is a voting item, right?
It is a voting item. You do have to accept her.
Move to accept Kristen as our newest board member.
Second.
Wonderful. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes. Welcome to the board.
Yay!
Thank you so much for your willingness to serve in this way. Okay, we'll move on to the second item, 2026 good cause exemption renewal.
This is just a redo of last year's good cause exemption. It was in the drive where you could see that. This is to say that we are not able to afford a full SRO for every campus, and instead we use the Guardian program. We did have to add language that says we will have at least one Guardian. They updated some of the requirements for what's in the good cause exemption. And so we said we had to have at least one Guardian per campus is our goal. And at this point, it looks like we're going to meet that. We do have 2 Guardians rolling off because they took positions at other districts. And so we are going to be refilling those spots. But that is our plan, is to have at least one Guardian on campus at all times.
This is a voting item as well.
That is correct.
Any motions?
So are we certifying that we will have that, and so we'll have to revise this in the event that we.
So we are going to transplant a person.
Okay.
So we have several Guardians that float. And so until the point when we will meet that, they will office there.
Okay.
So you will not have to recertify. You are certifying that we will have at least one, and we are saying we will have at least one.
I move to pass the certification.
Second? Thanks, Rebecca. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes. You want to walk us through the changes in the insurance contribution?
Yep, I will. So this one's pretty simple. So YYY did an annual analysis that they do for all of their clients. There's a legal threshold. Once you get above a certain number of employees in the school district, that you have to make sure that you're providing affordable care. At $300 with the new insurance rates for TRS, which is the health insurance provided by the state, $300 was not enough. And so we have to move. Their recommendation is that we just make a blanket statement. If we move to $350, that does get us above the threshold. Not a massive amount above the threshold. $336, I believe, was their number. But it does get us above the threshold, puts us back in legal compliance, could possibly keep us in compliance for 1 year. We may have to adjust it again next year. But I do also know that that was one of the supplemental considerations that the board wanted to look at. So it kind of does 2 things. It keeps us in compliance with the raising rates, and it also provides a $350 insurance supplementation for staff that choose to take insurance. If you don't take insurance, it doesn't help you out any. If you do take insurance, it covers $350 of that cost. So It is required, but since it is an expense, it's actually in the itemized budget, but I wanted to be able to provide a little bit more specific detail for that one. So you can either take action on this one, or it is covered in the actual budget item.
Okay, we'll move on. The naming conventions, elementary campus.
Yes. So we've had a couple of questions, and this is really a board discussion topic. It is not something that I'm coming to you with like a hardcore recommendation on. So right now, elementary is elementary, MacArthur campus, elementary, Llewellyn campus. Matter of fact, MacArthur campus still has a North campus sign out front. And so with the kind of,
It has two different signs.
and it has MacArthur campus on the one. And anyway, so as we've been talking about it, you know, we've normalized some of our job titles like assistant principal and principal, because it just makes more sense for families and for staff and for the world as a whole. And so it got brought up in a meeting the other day that we really probably should make some decisions about the naming conventions at elementary, because now what we have is an elementary. TEA still sees it as one elementary, but we have a pre-KK and one with a principal and an AP, and we have a 2, 3, 4 with a principal and an AP. And so do we want to call them, it's still weird to be like elementary Llewellyn, elementary MacArthur. Do we want to call it elementary pre-KK and one, elementary 2, 3, 4? Do we want to call it primary and elementary? And so there was kind of lots of conversations. We, as the superintendent cabinet, didn't really land on a solid one. Like primary, elementary seemed to be kind of the lead for that.
Well, I would also positive targeted for the
Jump in.
primary school, elementary school.
Yeah.
They
Sorry.
Need to also have like
School in the name.
imagery.
Yeah. So this is really a conversation for the board.
Vega has a primary school
Mhm.
and the elementary school.
It's a very common, a primary, an early ed, a primary. Oh, there you
It's
go.
like, cause I was in Atlanta and I was just my clients. And I never knew like what grades went to what school. And so I like, every time I would Google it, be like, Bodega primary to see. So whatever that. But I don't know that that's particularly helpful. Because if it's really common, maybe it's just, I didn't know it. It's common.
Early.
Yeah.
Elementary, very common, early and
Upper and lower.
Early elementary, upper elementary, lower elementary, upper elementary.
See, but that's the same problem. Yeah.
Mhm.
So it'd be better to go
I've
with more
heard,
common.
what's commonly used.
Yeah.
and for safety reasons as well.
Yeah.
I think the name should be, so if there's an incident.
That we know.
Know exactly where to go.
It's gonna know.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Probably. So Lauren, do you want to jump in on that?
So I will say, whenever we realigned elementary many years ago, we tried several different iterations of things. And for clarity, started with pre-K through first grade, second through fourth grade, but it's a mouthful. And so that's why we ended up using street names, because it's fast and it communicates quickly and clearly. But also, like, we didn't choose the street names, and it's not very reflective of us and who we are. I think primary is very, like, in the education world, it's industry standard for pre-KK 1 campuses, it's pretty typical, or at least pre-KK campuses, but also still through first grade, and depending on the school and how they change it up. I think it would help reduce confusion, and still like make it easy to communicate. Once everyone gets familiar.
Primary and then elementary is the older one.
Mm-hmm.
It sounds,
She's primary.
it sounds like leadership, you're not coming with us saying, oh, we want to rename it this. Like y'all are still having conversations about it. Where are you in the process?
So, yeah, so we had conversations about it, and it was kind of like what you guys are saying, which is like, there's this kind of general nomenclature. I think the bigger thing is people just want something, like they just want something. A common thing, the most common would be primary and elementary. But if the board had a strong feeling that they wanted to keep the street names, or that nope, they want one elementary universal, don't separate the two campuses, or no, we think it should be grade bands, like Rapoport Academy pre-KK1 campus, right? Rapoport Academy 234 campus, right? Like if that's really where you want, then I think we could go with that. I think we just need,
You could go
I
P
think-
dash one, 2-4.
I guess my
That-
impulse is the board should delegate that back to the administration. I
that's
don't-
fine if the board doesn't have a strong feeling about it, but
Yeah, I feel like it's y'all's decision
Yeah.
for us to consider what you land on.
so,
And then we're not like naming it after someone, or we're not.
Right,
like,
it's
doing
not.
anything.
You're gonna try to
Like,
check,
propose.
get a right
Yes.
check, because I
So-
will help with that.
I will say, if the board doesn't have any strong feelings one way or the other, we will go with the most common nomenclature, which is primary and elementary school. So we will make sure that that stays consistent in the language. As far as TEA is concerned, it is still one elementary. They don't care that it's got two separate addresses or that there's any clarification, which also means then our fabulous marketing person will help make sure that we are doing a really good job of communicating. Yes, that we are doing a really good job of communicating.
Primary, that's for elementary school.
Mhm.
Okay, so it would help you guys for us to make a vote tonight. It sounds like y'all have come to.
Well, it doesn't have to be an action item.
Oh, okay.
I can make the decision.
Okay.
I think my bigger thing was really trying to make sure that that discussion was out there because it is your names, right? Like you are the board and this is a district thing. It will still be Rapoport Academy Elementary, like Rapoport Academy Public School, primary school, elementary school. And then we'll have to put like some descriptors, right? This campus serves these students and this campus serves these students. But those will be more like descriptors as opposed to the actual name. So, yes.
Community input. Is there concern that you may change it from what the community is?
So our community has said it's confusing. Why is it named after a street? And why does this building have 3 names on it? So I think the impetus is really from the teachers and the families saying, could you figure something out? Right? Like, can you make this make sense? So that is really where the conversation can
They
be.
don't want street
Funding
name?
for new
They don't want
signs,
green.
that'll be the.
mean, they don't want street names.
Definitely.
They have said, so staff and students have said the street names don't tell us like what's happening in this space. Right? Like it's, like MacArthur doesn't tell us, huh?
It's like I'm going to MacArthur.
Yeah, I'm going to MacArthur. Yeah, gee, it's a lot. So they, like, the consensus has been that the names should reflect what's happening in this space. So like elementary and primary is a common nomenclature, a common reference to like the littles, and then kind of the standard age of elementary kids.
So I'm just trying to get on the same page.
That's okay.
Are
Yep.
y'all thinking, or is it just me thinking, like MacArthur Elementary
Mhm.
and Llewellyn primary?
So Llewellyn would be the primary, because that's the littlest ones, but we wouldn't use the street name in it.
Okay.
It would be Rapoport Academy Primary School. Rapoport Academy Elementary School.
Good.
Does that make sense?
It makes perfect sense.
But you got hesitations.
Yeah, I like street. Because I know exactly where it's at, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
There's no question. Oh, Llewellyn, boom. It's
Yeah.
like, What's weird?
Now we just gotta learn a new name.
But it'd be like-
North and east.
Yeah.
Blue.
but Meyer High,
Yeah.
right,
Yeah.
is actually on Elm Street,
Yeah.
right? But nobody wants to say it's on Elm Street because
Yeah.
for those of us that are older, it brings a different connotation.
It-
But, so I would just say, unless there's any big kickback, that is what I, as superintendent, would move with.
Decision with no right answer back to you.
Yeah, it seems like that's what the
I
board
would
is sensing, unless anybody
yeah.
feels differently, we defer to the leadership decision.
Perfect.
Yeah.
I will say that wherever it's not a mouthful, like the website and various places, it can say primary pre-K first. We're already doing that in written things, so it will still be descriptive enough that like people will know what the reasons are. It's just awkward to say and to put on a t-shirt and all of those other things that are important to know. We've never put flu on a t-shirt or as far as I'm aware.
No.
No.
It's flu, like, yeah. Speak to flu, they spell it like influenza flu.
I always go. "That's what W, right?"
agenda. And she didn't post the right one. So I'm gonna give it to you.
Blue.
We're not gonna take action. And we'll just do another take action. Just because it's not. Okay. Okay, that's what I need on that.
Lunch
Um,
program.
I have the ability to move on that one. Okay, so the next one, item 5, lunch program status change. So high school's percentage of direct certified, kind of free and reduced students dropped, which means we weren't automatically eligible or not eligible for the CEP, which is the free lunch for all program. Middle school and elementary still are. So high school, in order to supplement, in order to keep it free, would cost us about 180,000 total for the year. Now, some of the kids are still going to qualify. We're just going to have to do the free and reduced lunch form this year. So in doing the analysis of how much we would need to charge based on the guidelines, it's $4 for lunch. So high school now doesn't qualify for free, although some students will, free and reduced. The new high school lunch charge would need to be $4. Since that's a new cost, again, the board could choose to tell me to try to find the money to supplement, so we still do it for free. I don't know where that would come from. What it would look like then now is we will return to a charge basis for high school. If that number goes up, we will immediately go back the very next year when we can apply and try to go back and do CEP. We will reevaluate it every year because it is a really good thing. But next school year, high school doesn't qualify. We're going to have to go to a charge. And $4 is what it would be. The board does have to approve the charge for $4. Now, we could go less than that, but then we would have to budget the money to supplement for the difference. We're actually, SJ and I have actually talked to somebody who's interested in helping with like food and food insecurity. And so I was like, well, our high school students are going to have to start paying. And he was like, well, I wonder if that could be an option. So could there be like a pot of money donated that could help offset some of those? So that is not a guarantee, but $4, high school does have to charge. They're no longer eligible for the free and reduced lunch, the campus-wide free and reduced lunch program.
But there is the breakfast, right?
Breakfast is free for everybody. Breakfast is free for everybody.
And this is a voting item.
Because it is a fee that we are going to have to charge students. I do have to have kind of acknowledgement and acceptance of that.
I'll entertain a motion or more questions or thoughts.
Well, move to approve the lunch charge of $4 and have my thought that stinks.
Yeah. And as soon as we're able to go back to CEP, hopefully we'll go back to that.
So is it only a year? You can only do it once a year?
Once a year.
Versus the school year or whatever?
Once a year. Yeah, we actually apply in the summers for the next year. So it's once a year that we do the evaluation. So one of the things is because the state changed the qualification requirements for the food stamps and stuff and made it harder to achieve and to keep them. And that's how we got our direct certifications. That's how we made that program eligible, is we had so many kids that were on services. So it's harder to get services. Also, with today's political climate, we have families who are nervous about putting names and information on paper and turning it in. So we have less people applying for state services, less people qualifying for state services, which impacted us in a very direct way. Thankfully, middle and elementary were still able to stay high enough, not by a long shot, but they were able to stay high enough to be able to keep those programs there. So we have Amanda's.
We have a motion. Is there a second?
Am I allowed to second?
Absolutely. Yeah.
All those in favor of the lunch charge change? Aye. Any opposed?
In favor? Like, that's a loaded question, right?
And I would just kind of make a note. I mean, we're gonna need snacks. I mean,
We have a snack policy.
I know,
We have snack
like,
policy.
I'm thinking of your snack policy and soliciting donations, board members, if you know people, I don't know, it'd just be nice to stock up the high school because they're gonna need it.
I'll just weigh in real fast after the vote is complete, to say that it is a significant shift. It is the place that we were in for years and years and years.
Yep.
We've had this program in place for the last several, but it has not been historically what's been available to us at Rapoport to allow every student to eat for free. We will still be getting applications for out to families for free and reduced lunch, and many of our families will be able to qualify for free and reduced, we still have a large population of students who meet those qualifications. They have to complete the application and get it turned in. And that's another logistical thing that we'll have to reinstitute. But for families who don't qualify, if you ate lunch every day of the school year, at $4 a piece, it's just under $700 a year for lunch that a family wasn't paying last year, that they will be. And that will apply to families who don't complete the application, but would qualify. So we are gonna have to watch really carefully about students who don't eat because it costs, whether their family would qualify or not. And then really work hard to push those applications out. I'm excited to hear that there's opportunities for ways to offset some of that cost maybe in the future. That would, even if you're a family that doesn't qualify for free and reduced lunch, all of your costs are going up at every term, as we all know, they all experience. And so learning that something that was completely off your mind and completely free, and your kid got a meal every single day without any question, without worrying about it, is now going to be a significant cost each week, month, over the course of the year. So, but I promise we'll be working really hard to make sure we educate our families and we get as many applications back as possible. We make sure we do our part to help people qualify who do qualify, so that they don't see a change. Those families should expect to see a change, and we want to make sure our most vulnerable families get that available.
Good question. Roughly, how many people qualify in your family? Roughly, would you
I
say?
think our
It was around 60%
yeah, I think our high school.
for high school.
What did you say, Dr. Moon?
Around 60%, I believe,
That sounds
because it just bumped up a little bit.
Last year, and we weren't doing the free and reduced lunch application. We were going to do a different income verification process to get these numbers, but we were at 60% last year. Family at the high school. It is our lowest low income.
Yeah. But that 60%, roughly 40% would have to pay. Yeah, 60% is free and reduced. Reduced is, I think, 46 cents for the meal. The other thing I will just say, since we've talked about this, Chef Nate has come back and said, well, if high school is going to have to pay, we need to make sure that it's worth paying for. And so he's looking at bringing things in that will increase palatability and desire, but not food service costs. For instance, having a chef salad available, having grab and go wraps available, having things like that, where it's, if a kid's going to get it, they're not going to feel jaded for getting $4, for paying $4. But at the same time, it feels a little bit more adultish in the food selection a little bit as well. Still have lots of rave reviews from the hot foods that he's putting out. And so those are still going to be good. But it's just a really unfortunate thing. And my hope is it's a 1-year thing and we can increase the direct certification. But
On that application
Mhm.
to apply for, do they have to put names?
Mhm.
So that's
of the entire household,
everyone.
everyone in the entire household. Yep. Now they could choose to leave someone off, but then you have to certify it at the bottom, which if you don't do that, honestly, you could get in trouble too. So, yeah. So anyway, so those two things.
So I would just,
So if they don't do it initially, are they able to apply anytime throughout the school year?
The families can apply, and then at the date, whenever they submit their application, then it can change. So let's just say it's November and one of the parents loses their job. They can submit the form then, and from that point forward, it doesn't go retro, but from that point forward, then they're eligible. Also, there's other qualifications. If you're homeless, there's a list of other ways you can be, it's called a 99, that like an other certification for that one. It just doesn't help us out on this CEP that everybody gets it for free. Then it's an individual kid base.
I would just ask that, we communicate that to families so they don't, it doesn't appear that we are looking for another new stream.
Yeah. No,
They don't understand.
absolutely. Yep, absolutely. So now with this approval, we'll be able to start messaging out early and often. It'll also be a part of the orientation information that we send to families.
Okay, we'll have our self-evaluation due for our July meeting. And you haven't done it yet. Kristen, you don't have enough information based on the last 7 minutes. So you can sit this next one out. But I'll send you a link with instructions. Y'all know how to do it.
It's in the
We do a self-evaluation every 3 months, just to how we're how we feel about our own performance and diligence in performing our duties.
And it is, since it's your homework for the meeting today, it is in this month's drive.
Yeah.
And then right before next meeting, I'll move it into next month's. I love it.
And
She did it.
the way it's formatted, it's an Excel spreadsheet, and you'll find your name on a tab. In your case, it'll say parent representative, and that's the one that you enter scores on.
I think I
Okay.
accidentally doubled up on
Yeah.
Christian's there, so we
And
get to
then
vote you in twice.
A heartbreaking but sincere farewell to our own Rashonda Farmer Neal,
No,
who's
say it ain't so.
served on this board for 6 years faithfully. We just are so appreciative for your insight and your expertise and your consistency, all the things. We just really thank you so much. And Amanda, you're not off the hook yet. She's generously agreed to sign on for another term. Do we need to vote on that?
We do need to
Yes.
officially, yep.
Yeah. So, thank you, Amanda, for your willingness to continue serving. I'll entertain a motion.
So I move.
In her
No.
last half. That's poignant.
I love it.
Yeah.
Move that Amanda Holland serves another term on the board of directors for Fort County.
Second.
Thank you. All those in favor? Any opposed? Sorry, you're stuck with us. Thank you.
I was
Awesome.
gonna get a complex. Two people that don't want to leave.
Yeah.
No. All this time, yeah, okay.
Um,
I know, a long time.
I do need to bump back for the report from the superintendent. It cannot be an action item, but there was a pretty significant typo omission. I'm not sure exactly what to call it. The budget for next year was included in your drive, but it was not included as an agenda item. So there was a last minute edit that was made to put it on the agenda, but it didn't get posted, so we cannot actually vote on that. So right now, what you have in your drive, I will just call your attention to it. But in your drive, it says itemized expenses. So you will now have a chance to read through it in detail. I want to call your attention to just a couple of things. I'll just kind of include as part of the superintendent's report. But a couple of things, based on everything that has been requested from each of the budget managers, we've done some realigning of the budgets. You'll see some of them went up by several $100,000, but the district went down by $300,000. It's really because we allocated it to the appropriate budget manager. For instance, electrical utilities are now under facilities instead of under quote district. IT, so all of our software, hardware, network, all of that is now under IT, where it was just in quote district, or it was even kind of distributed evenly amongst the campuses. So you'll see some reallocation in that one. But if you look through all of that, we're roughly 2.4 for operational expenses. Then we have debt service, depreciation, debt service, interest and principal. And then we have the bond covenant holdback, all budgeted into that. If you look kind of over towards the right column on the screen where I'm showing you up on the big screen, you'll see our projected revenue at 13.3. So YYY has run through this analysis. Essentially on the revenue side, we have taken a flat expectation. So assuming consistent revenue, consistent enrollment, consistent attendance with where we were for last school year, starting high, ending a little bit lower, the same attendance that I've already showed you. This is the actual revenue that we're anticipating from the 25-26 year. So we use that revenue to expect 26-27. If we go up in students, that's great. It's going to allow us to move towards cash on hand, bringing that back up a little faster. So assuming flat revenue, flat attendance, then you bump down. When you look at our payroll, we've hired some people with more experience. We've had some people with experience leave. So we believe it's going to even out by the time we get through the hiring season. Then you can see the various pieces from the left-hand side that we've kind of plugged into there, all said and done based on simple revenue over expenditures, not including stuff that doesn't count on the books. We are to the good 110,000. That is not very much on a $13.3 million budget. However, it's better than where we were a year ago. So a year ago, we were upside down. So that's better than where we were. The other piece to that that YYY added in for you is those bond covenant measurements. So you can see on the board right now, with everything, it looks like we're going to be at a 1.39 ratio. 1.2 is the minimum bond covenant. So we look to meet that measure. The 553 days cash on hand is an aggressive, optimistic build up for all of next school year. If it all works out, that's where we would be. If you're curious about how much it costs for a day of operation, there on the right-hand side, you'll see it's $37,800 roughly per day to operate this beautiful behemoth. That's everything included in that number, by the way. So anyway, one of the things that YYY has been doing has been negotiating back with Texas Capital, and they've been able to navigate some waivers that will allow us to slowly build back up our cash on hand and still fall in agreeable terms with them. Also, potentially, we're waiting on the final one, but Texas Capital seems to be very optimistic that they're going to drop from 60 to 45 days. So those are two really big things, allow us to rebuild on a steady basis, and then drop from 60 to 45 days for the basic bond covenant. We would still like to be, you have to be a minimum of 40 for Texas Charter First, minimum of 40. So we're working to make sure that we're above that, but then we would like to be at least above 60. Typically, the board has preferred 90. So we'll build that back up now that we don't have a big gym that we're finishing up. So underneath that are pages and pages and pages of itemized expenses. So if you have not had a chance to go through these pages and pages and pages of itemized expenses, these are all of the individual things. If it's a vendor specific, we are actually asking you to approve the vendor. We have followed all procurement guidelines in order to select that vendor. So either we have an existing contract or they're on like a direct certification or a co-op, or we've done the quotes for them. If it's a blanket amount, if there's any procurement guidelines within that blanket amount, we will follow those before we move forward. Let's just say an air conditioning, right? So there's a set amount for air conditioning repairs. If it's above 4,000, we will come back to you with a vendor. If it is not above 4,000, we will move through our procurement guidelines underneath that within that category. If we do have any categories that exceed, one of the ones you approved tonight was a category that exceeded what you had pre-approved. So we had to come back to you guys with that. So that just gives you an idea, itemized where we are, where we're walking through for the year. Again, I will probably try to reach out to see if maybe before the July meeting is pretty late, because the 1st of July actually falls on a Thursday or a Wednesday. So it's not until the 3rd, like the 21st, I think is when it is. So we may try to connect in sometime with the board between now and then so that we can get this approved. But you guys have it in front of you. You've got the itemized expenses, you've got the operational expenses, you have YYY's analysis of the debt service bond covenants, and then you also have the revenue over expenses. And again, we're to the good. Hopefully you noticed on the financials, when you looked at the financials, that this time last year we were upside down around 700,000. And this year we're actually to the good. So it's really, really some good trends on the financial side. Our budget managers have been really conservative. They've been really restrictive. They've been really analyzing the things that they're doing, and have really helped turn the tide to make sure that we're fiscally stable long term. Now, what does that mean as far as like 2 or 3 years down the road, how we want to do raises or things like that? We'll have to continue to be critical about what we're doing in order to make that happen. But this shows us in a really good, healthy standpoint. YYY has been really great. They've done a lot of analysis. They're doing a lot of systems changing. Right now, they actually have an RFP out for audit services. They're pretty confident they can cut our audit fees in half versus where we have been with our most recent auditor, and already some preliminary conversations that they've had. So I'm really excited about what that would do for our budget also moving forward, because we pay almost 100,000 in audit fees. So really excited about what that looks like. So my intention was to have this for you for a voting item. That did not happen. So you have it before you for an item for consideration, the superintendent's report. Look it over. Let me know if you have any questions. The finance committee has looked at it and reviewed it in depth. But you guys have a chance to look through this. This is the one big thing you cannot delegate to anyone else, is fiscal stewardship, right? So look through it, look through the itemized things. If you have questions on any individual items, please reach out. I'll be happy to provide you explanation or vendor questions or anything like that. Let me know.
And I would just say that would be the ideal, is if you see something that you have a question about, that you contact Dr. Newman between now and next meeting and have those conversations before the meeting. Of course, we can't wait until the meeting, but it's better if she has some time to dig and give you a good response offline.
I was gonna say, ask the question twice, like ask me ahead of time, let me prepare and dig and get the information, and then ask it again in a public meeting, right? If you feel like it's information that is really public. If it's a personal question, then that's fine. But I would like to be able to bring you the answers to the questions you want to ask here in a public meeting if possible. So, any questions about that? Any? Great. There are no other agenda items of any action or discussion.
I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Let me adjourn.
All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes and we are adjourned. Thank you so much.
Well, please.